Today on CarTraction, you join us at the lovely Capesthorne Hall for, I think, the first classic car show of 2025 here. Now, I've done plenty of reviews of this particular classic shows event a few times before, so I'm going to mix it up a little bit today and do something different, which I'll talk about in a minute. And we're here in the MX-5 because you could say we're still in the process of sorting out a long distance vehicle. May have been sorted by time of uploading, may not have been. I can see a mixture of 90s to 50s cars rolling in just now, and there'll probably be some earlier stuff as well. So there might be a little sprinkle of rain, but it should be a good day here at the 2025 Capesthorne Hall Classic Car Show. Now, usually when I film these classic car shows, I try to film some of the classic cars arriving at, in this case, Capesthorne Hall, because I think it's always more interesting to see the cars moving instead of all parked up, and that's a lovely 1947 Hudson. But I think in today's video, to make it that a little bit different, I'll focus more time primarily of the video on the arrivals, and then just have a quick scoot around and have a look at some standout highlight cars when they're parked up. I think it's just so much more interesting and unique to see them all rolling in, making their often quite nice exhaust notes. But this is a 1947 Hudson, and what an amazing looking car. We're still very early, so there aren't too many cars coming to roll in, but there are a few. That's one sharp looking Fiat Uno, and I think it's time to introduce the mighty speed bump of doom, a distinctive feature of the Capesthorne Hall event. We didn't scrape in the little MX-5, but some may, and that is one quite cool little Fiat Uno Turbo. That's a rare car, the Lotus Eclat, and quite a smart looking Daimler Sovereign based on the Series 3 Jaguar XJ platform. I'm sure that'll have no problem with the bump. Now, this year's Capesthorne Hall Classic Car Show is taking part across 2 days, and they're known as Jaguar Day and Mercedes Day, so there's sort of a collection of a featured mark of cars, and judging by that pair, I'm pretty sure it's Jaguar Day today. So in front of the Capesthorne Hall itself, just over there, there'll be an impressive collection of Jags. This is a rare one, quite an early scimitar, I think a GTC or something like that, of that era. V6s in those, fiberglass bodied. This speed bump does have quite a sting. Well handled by the Volvo. That's a very smart looking Triumph Dolomite Sprint. Doesn't that look lovely in red? The Sprint, the 125 brake horsepower, super quick variant of the Triumph Dolomite Saloon. Little MG Midget rolling in as well. Wow, look at this, a photogenic 1957 Buick. Amazing looking car. Unbelievable restoration on that one. It gets around a fair bit as well, gets to lots of events. And the Toyota MR2, and a very smart E30 generation BMW. Good looking cars, those. Wonderful little Alpine A110. This is a Faza Hispana car, so a Spanish built as opposed to the original French ones. Some Renault 40V DNA in there, you could say. Another cool classic E30 1980s BMW making its way in. I'll have to get a snap of that one for the CarTraction Instagram. Good looking car, that. Here are two 5 Series BMWs. Is it the E90, I think, BMW M5 with a V10, and not an M5 but an M535i, this one, the E28 BMW. So not quite an M5, but the car that was just below it in terms of specs, so a pretty cool car. There's quite a collection of Beamers. This is a 840 Ci, cool looking car, and a Jaguar, is it an XJR? Yes it is, so the supercharged 380 brake horsepower version of our car at home, really. And a Chevy Monte Carlo SS, that is so rare as well. Wow, look at this, super rare old Humber. Basically a rebodied Hillman Super Minx. Wow, not often you see the sort of sporty variant of the Hillman Super Minx, the Humber Scepter. All sorts of additional dials when compared to the more standard Hillman Minx, which is a very similar looking car apart from the front. That's actually really rare. Very cool to see that. I think it's just so much cooler to see all the cars rolling in, actually driving. It's almost like a mobile classic car show watching the arrivals. On first glance this appears to be an Aston Martin DB4 Zagato, but that is in fact a very convincing replica based on a BMW Z3 platform. It's a very well done conversion though, all the dials are correct and it's actually really impressive. This is a little Triumph 1300 rolling in now. This is the sort of front wheel drive predecessor to the Dolomite Saloon, so a little bit smaller. That's another really rare family car from the 1970s in lovely condition. Lovely little Austin Healey Frog Eye Sprite. And there's the larger Triumph Dolomite there. And a lovely S-Type Jaguar. Not a Mark II, but an S-Type with the independent rear suspension, making them a bit superior to the S-Type. That is a 3.8, so a largest possible from new Jaguar 6-cylinder engine. That is a lovely looking car. MX-5s lining up side by side. That's an immaculate Mark II. That one, the Mark III. Looks like the MGB GT owner is also spectating the arrivals just like us. Nice little Mini also rolling in. And what is that? A Plymouth Barracuda maybe? I think that's what it is. Very rare if it is one. That is one pretty cool 1970s V8 muscle car. The Cooper Cobra or Cooper Cobra with the American pronunciation. Tyre writing, vinyl roof, cool look. Now, I think I saw this car at the Goresworth Hall Classic Car Show and couldn't figure out what it is. It's almost like a mini American Cadillac, so it's smaller than it looks. It sounds like it only has a 4-cylinder. A Plymouth Caravelle. There you go. So actually, in American terms, a very small car and an uber rare, probably the only one in the UK, Plymouth Caravelle, 1980s era. That's amazing. Same registration prefix B as the Escort XR3i behind, and the Dolomite's having the letter at the end makes it quite a bit older. 1970s, of course, that one. Next up is an absolutely immaculate, wow, Volvo 240 Estate. Still a very practical car to be used regularly today. And that is mint. Wow, absolutely beautiful Ford console next to roll in. That looks lovely in that two-tone livery, a car I haven't seen before. The console, the 4-cylinder Ford Saloon. What a lovely looking little car. I think it's quite easy to see the extent of the wind today. No, this is a rare car. Is it an old Toyota Land Cruiser from the 1980s era? No, a Hilux. Okay, a Hilux Surf. There you go. I know nothing about those and I'm not going to pretend like I do. And there is a Austin Healey rolling in, although I think that is a later replica of one. I think it is. That's a 1980s, quite a convincing replica of a classic Austin Healey sports car. Wow, look at this car again. What a stunning Aston Martin DB5. Seen this car quite a bit recently actually. Been very lucky. Awesome looking car. The owner of that one's had it since the 1970s I think, or certainly a long time, and it's a very well used car. It's brilliant to see it out again with the XJS rolling in behind. And here is that MGB GT that was parked up, a lovely looking car in grey, matching the colour of the painted wire wheels. That's actually a really nice colour scheme on that car. Really good looking little car actually. There's a MG, is it a little ZR? Yes it is, quite a sporty little car, and a beautifully restored MG Magnet. These having an early form of the BMC B-Series engine that was later enlarged from 1500cc's to 1800cc's for the MGB sports car in the 1960s, but the Magnet was one of the first cars that had the B series engine, albeit in a smaller capacity. There's quite a selection of these cars rolling in now, isn't there? Of course, I'm doing a bit of filming and taking some snaps for the CarTraction Instagram page, so I'll get a little shot of those there. That's CarTraction_vids. I do a lot on Instagram now, but yeah, it's actually, I'm really enjoying, instead of just waiting for all the cars to come in and then filming them static, I'm actually really enjoying filming them coming in, and hopefully you guys are too. I think you can tell Jaguar is the featured mark for today, and look at that, this is going to have to be another snap on the phone as well. A lovely Mark II that looks to be Jaguar. That is a beautiful 1950s classic British saloon, powered by the Jaguar XK straight 6 and the engine. A very original looking little car, that one as well. I'll have a little look around the front, see what particular engine size this one is. They say on the front badges 3.4, thank you. Manual overdrive. Oh, very nice. So 3.4 matched up to a manual gearbox in that particular Jaguar Mark II on a lovely original registration. It's nice no one's nabbed that off for their modern Audi SUV, and that's a lovely looking car, isn't it? The Fiat People Carrier rolling in now. Wow. The Fiat Ulysse, there you go, so much variety. A Datsun 280ZX tackling the speed bump as well. A Triumph Stag, that's a very rare car, those Datsuns actually, and plenty more still rolling in. Blue is a very good colour on that Triumph Dolomite Sprint. That does look very smart. Jaguar XKR, the supercharged one, and quite a smart Morris Minor Traveller. Those are great little cars, and another Morris Traveller. The owners of that particular Mark I Fiesta are usually seen in Maestros, so they've gone for a Dagenham car today, the Ford Fiesta Mark I. They're very much into their British Leyland cars, so that's quite surprising. And for a bit of British Leyland, an Austin Ambassador Vanden Plas. Effectively an upmarket, you could say, version of the Austin Princess. There's an incredible turnout of Jaguars across the ages. One of my favourites being this Series 1 Jaguar XKR. I think that looks so cool. Supercharged 4 litre or 4.2 litre V8. Awesome looks. I think that's just such a cool looking car. Very, very nice. The Honda Civic Type R also rolling in, and just behind it a quite smart looking Scimitar. This is the SE6A generation, the GTE shooting brake body, and the Ford Essex V6. That was a lot of facts. Volkswagen Scirocco, that looks absolutely immaculate in white, doesn't it? Wow, what an original car that is. Another XR2i and a Mercedes 190e. These are quickly becoming very popular cars nowadays. Anything for the cool angles, I guess. Dad, hard at work for old classic car. And these are a pair of cars we see very often. The 2.8 litre Capri and the extremely loud TVR Tuscan. I bet that's got like an 8 litre V8 or something in that. It's the very late production era Ford Thunderbird. It's crazy, the American engine size. It's probably 8 litres and about 150 brake horsepower. It's a bit crazy then. Let's see, another Volkswagen Scirocco. Wow, look at that, a Metro 6R4 rally car, very much a Group B homage. Don't think that's an original, but it's certainly sounding like one that's been restored to original spec. That's a Vauxhall Viva HB, the orange car, quite a rare one. And the MGB just behind, and the Mitsubishi GTO. But yeah, that's very rare, the orange Vauxhall Viva HB. Mark II Ford Escort here, the RS2000. Another pair of Morris Minors. There's actually a lot of these here today. First up, the convertible. I haven't seen a convertible in a little while actually, so that's cool. And another very smart traveller. That Ford Anglia van or Prefect, you know, 100E shape. It could be an Anglia or Prefect, but it's got V8 in it. I imagine that'd be pretty quick. Very modified old van. I think this generation of Mercedes SLs have grown into a really classy looking car, I think. The R109 or something like that, I'm not too sure, but I think they're really good looking cars. Triumph TR4A, that's the first of probably a few we'll see today. And I'm just going to skip over the MGB for a second because look at that. Absolutely unbelievable 1959 Cadillac. I think that one came here last year and it's like a family car since new, or it had some quite surprising aspect to its history. And it's just an unbelievable looking car, isn't it? What a crazy 1959 Cadillac that is. The Coupe de Ville, such an iconic design as well, one of the most iconic classic American cars there. That looks quite a smart X300 generation Jaguar XJ. We've got the X308 at home, that's the 6-cylinder variant of our 8-cylinder car. And a little Metro just behind, a Morris Minor and a lovely Ford console. Wow, what is this? A super rare Fiat Coupe there. That's not something I've seen before. Fiat 124 Sport. That's actually really cool. I think I'll have to get a closer look at that one in the main show area. Actually, things are coming up a little bit, so we might be able to get a chance of looking at it. Mark 1 MX-5 also there. That's a nice looking Jag XJS. And a Triumph Herald in blue, also looking very sharp. Yeah, look at this, an absolutely beautiful classic Fiat here, the 124 Sport. There was the 124 Spider, which is the sports car variant of this, I guess, that you see quite often, but this being the Sport, a hardtop car, very, very rare. Now, if we listen very carefully at the front of this Ford Capri, you can hear a slight whirring sound. Hopefully you can hear it, but that whirring sound sounds like a supercharger pulley. So a supercharger is it sort of goes off like a similar system to the fan belt, and it basically drives more air into the intake system, but you can usually hear when it's a very distinctive sound. You just have to know what I'm talking about really. The supercharger winding up, making their squeaking sound as the TR6 rolls past, but I think I can hear a supercharger pulley on that car making that whirring sound, which means that is quite a bit of kit. It's on some pretty wide Ford alloy wheels, but that is a spectacular Ford Capri 3-litre S, looking that cool and supercharged, which I think it is. I think it is a supercharger we're hearing. Yeah, that sounds like a supercharged Ford Capri to me. That is absolutely insane. I appreciate I spent a long time just yapping about one car and not a lot happening, which probably wasn't the most interesting thing to watch, but that is quite a standout car actually, supercharged one. MGB GT V8 that one was, and Maestro rolling past, and a very rare little Toyota, I'm not sure what model that is, alongside the Wolseley 1500 and a lovely Jaguar Mark II also pulling up just behind. That's another beautiful looking classic Jaguar, and that's quite nice on its original reg as well, the Wolseley 1500 Saloon, also a car that used an early 1500cc iteration of the BMC B series engine, like the MG Magnet we just saw a few minutes earlier, and that is so nice, and I'm sure it sounds lovely. A 3.8 manual overdrive Jaguar Mark II with an E46 Cabriolet, an old Escort rolling past like a Mark III or 4 Escort. Let's get round the back of this lovely 3.8 Jag. That does sound pretty nice. This is a rare car, like an EO4A, just pre-war era Ford Anglia, but very modified with, I believe, a Ford Cologne V6 in that one. I'm not sure. It's not a very original car, unfortunately, because those are very rare, but I'm sure it goes pretty well with a later Ford Cologne engine in it. This Ford Capri 2.8 Essex V6 sounds pretty cool as well. There's a 911 Carrera Cabriolet there, which is a very rare car. And there's a BMW Z3M, which we'll look at in a moment, but I just really like the look of this Ford Zodiac, an automatic 1960s British saloon with a period tow bar modification. That'd make for quite a good tow bar. They've got 6-cylinder engines up front in those, and I think that's quite cool. As the BMW Z3M goes past, that car has 321 brake horsepower, which is crazy in a car that small. The smaller ones of those had just over like 110 brake horsepower or something, and they were still quite nippy, good little sports cars. So 321 brake horsepower, blistering performance from that really high spec BMW Z3M. A couple of Lotuses rolling in now, and a 996 generation Porsche, a couple of Esprits. I must say I do really like the look of this particular Ford Zodiac. I think this is so much more interesting than just walking along all of these cars parked up, seeing them driving, hearing the sounds of the engines along this lovely approach into the Capesthorne Hall itself. I think it's just so much more interesting and unique to see these cars driving, because that's what they're meant to be for, that's what they're made for. I spy a Series 2 Jaguar E-Type 2+2 Coupe rolling in, sandwiched by some more modern Jaguars. I do like the look of the F-Types, both the F-Types behind actually, and then the classic one in the middle. One of the most affordable ways to get into Jaguar E-Type ownership, these Series 2 and the 2+2 body. They were sold as the fixed head coupes. This is the 2+2, the slightly higher roofline. A lot of people reckon it's less proportionate, and it probably is, but it's probably more practical and they're more affordable, the 2+2 variant cars. Wow, look at that wild Bedford camper. That's amazing. It's not a Dormobile, it's way bigger than that. I know there was the Dormobile, which was a variant, but I think this is more of a custom body that's been put on. It's a lot wider if you look at the track around the back. That's an incredible conversion on that old Bedford CA. Really long overhang at the back. It's got Ford Cortina Mark 1 rear lights on it. That's almost like a minibus. It's actually really tall and wide and spacious inside. That's quite an impressive car actually. The Capri and the Mini, the Peugeot 206, I actually think they're quite cool looking little cars in a way. They're certainly aged quite well in my opinion. Golf GTI Cabriolet and a Jetta here. This is a really rare little car. And a Mark IV Golf with an MGB Roadster pulling in behind. And an extremely modified, looks to be maybe on a different chassis, that Ford Popular, with that lovely Mark III Mazda MX-5 behind. That looks so sharp on those wheels, and that is one extremely modified Ford Pop. Also, there's a lovely little Thames 500 weight van rolling in behind. That looks quite sporty as well. That's a really tastefully modified little van, that. It's got that sort of intake rumble, you can just hear it, so it's probably on some quite fancy Weber carburetors and intake system, so quite a cool little van that actually. That's a lovely Jaguar XK140 fixed head coupe. This one is another period modified car. It's got a Jaguar Type C head on it on the XK 3.4 probably 6-cylinder engine in this car, so it's got the almost 1950s racing car head of the engine. It's probably been tuned up in other places as well. It's so quick, that car, and a beautiful XK140. There's a little remote control car or something messing about around here. I can't see where. There it is. Can't see. Oh, I think it's got stuck. Oh no, the owner's got to come and retrieve it. It looked pretty quick though. There's an unbelievable amount of Mercedes 190Es here today, really making up a lot of the 1980s cars that are turning up today. As you can see in the background, it's pretty busy now, and there's still plenty more to come. Usually at this event, cars will be parked all the way along up here, so there's plenty to see driving in. And look at that, a lovely Series 1 Jaguar E-Type convertible. That's a rare beast, that old Audi Coupe Quattro, so 5-cylinder in there. Really rare car. Oh, that was a bit of a scrape. Nice looking pair of old cars queuing up to roll in now. The Worsley 1500 on our left, and front and centre Triumph GT6 Mark 1. That's an incredibly rare early Triumph GT6. Oh, Mark 2, sorry. That's weird. It had a Mark 1 frontage on it, but a Mark 2 back, taking it very easily over the speed bump. Don't want to clout those lovely exhausts, and that's a lovely car. 2 litre 6-cylinder engine on the Mark II with a Mark 1 bonnet, I believe. Triumph GT6, and that looks a smart Worsley 1500 as well. These are very popular cars nowadays for their Brusco V6 engines. The Alfa Romeo 3 litre V6, there you go, the Alfa Romeo Brusco V6 24 valve, very popular engine, very tunable engine as well, and a very good sounding engine. I reckon that, look at that, the little Austin Special. This car has been everywhere recently. It's fantastic seeing it around. There's a little Fiat 500 as well. I've seen that so much recently. It's an incredible little car, based on an Austin 7 Ruby, and it's actually got a beautifully tuned Austin 7 engine in it. It's got some really nice period parts on it actually, and it's definitely the rat rod steampunk look. I'm sure he's a bit chilly after driving that here today. Well, that is quite a car as well. That's Carrera RS Porsche 911 from the mid-1970s. That was another one that went to the Gorsworth Hall Classic Car Show, and a really rare Alfa Romeo GT V6. That's actually really cool. A couple of very rare cars there. Really divine early production Volkswagen Beetle there. That's probably a 1950s era car, and in that lovely bronzy colour. That's just beautiful, isn't it? That's so nice, really love that. Another car that you could say time forgot, coping with the speed bump very well, and that's another sort of car that you don't see anymore, an Audi 100 CD. Very original it looked as well. What else do we have? Triumph Stag. Those are always popular old cars, and that is an RMB Gentry. It's basically quite a convincing replica of an MGTF from the 1950s. That's pretty cool as well. The porthole window, very early Ford Thunderbird. Almost didn't catch that one. What a wonderful looking car. TVR Camaro taking it very easy over the speed bump of doom. And there's another great looking Ford Zodiac. I think that's a really cool looking car. We saw the red one earlier. This one's in a darker shade of maroon. The American styling and V6 engine would make that a really usable and cool looking car, and very sort of attractive wherever it goes, I reckon. And that's cool, isn't it? A couple of VWs, but I especially like the split window panel van in front. Oh no, oh yeah, it does have windows on the side. Sorry, I thought it didn't have windows on the side. And a very special little MG midget, which has some CarTraction and old classic car stickers on the windscreen. And also a really cool looking little car, that, to be honest, with the gold top as well. Period racing look. Very cool little car. Now recently I haven't seen many of these Morris Minor Travellers, so certainly catching up on that. There's probably about 5 or 6 of those here today. I'll continue to film the arrivals. We'll just stroll down here a little bit. It really highlights just how small these Triumph GT6s are. These were sort of, they were on the smaller side for sports cars in the 1970s, and this one has a Mark 1 bonnet. It was different styling at the front, and this one has the earlier and probably nicer looking frontage actually, but the benefits of the Mark 2 having the less sketchy rear suspension, if you know what I mean when I'm talking about GT6 suspensions. There's quite a cool trio of Lotuses or Lotus. Don't know what the plural of those would be. And yeah, we've seen all these cars coming in before, and they're all parked up here. This is probably the 80s section at a guess, although the Viva HB is probably a 70s era car. That's very 80s. The Metro 6R4 Group B rally car. There's certainly quite a bit here for this early in the morning. I think I'll have a little stroll around the Auto Jumble in a moment. Oh, there's a slight lull in arrivals. So many different cars here today. Quite a collection of MGs. There's the Magnet we saw coming in earlier on the end. I almost forgot to mention we came in the little yellow MX-5 down there. An impressive selection of modern classic era BMWs. Wonder if that nice E28 M535i we saw coming in earlier is among those. There's the front of all the MGs and the Vauxhall Viva HB, which is quite a cool modified classic saloon car down there. Here's a A60 Austin Cambridge. This car seems to get around a lot, actually, to be fair. Big Farina designed, 4-cylinder saloon, but it does do some mileage, that car. We see it at a lot of classic car shows. And in front of the hall over there, there'll be plenty of Jaguars assembling, and a Triumph Stag also making its way in. Yeah, so here we are, quite a bit busier now in the sports and convertible section, with the Mark 1 MX-5 with the lights up, not on obviously. Yeah, there's so much here. As I said, we've seen all these cars arriving, so I won't spend a lot of time on the actual show walk around today, because I'm emphasising the cars moving around as they're rolling into the show. And there's a few nice looking classic BMWs. I much prefer the classic era, but that's just personal preference really. Just through there we can see the E28 M535i, really super quick classic saloon from the 1980s. This is an E34 5 Series, the generation after. Still a good looking car, and an E33 Series, the smaller car, and a Z4 little sports car. And this one is the coupe with a really cool hardtop back. Awesome shape. There's also been so many Triumph Dolomites turning up today. Really amazing selection. There must be a club or something there. But yeah, let's break off for a moment to have a stroll around the Auto Jumble. Now, just before we return to the arrivals, let's have a little look at some of the highlights of the American section, because I've missed a couple of things while I was having a stroll around the Auto Jumble. There's that unbelievable 1959 Buick. And this is interesting, the Volvo 240, the absolutely very clean one that we saw earlier, is totally original 2-litre petrol auto, and it's got 380,000 miles on it. It's a daily car, and that is in amazing condition considering it's a daily. That's a really impressive car actually. Other highlights of the American section, that wonderful Ford T-Bird, Thunderbird, really cool car. A Lincoln, that's rare. I've never seen one like that. I didn't know if they still made cars, to be honest. Lincoln, a Chevy Bel Air. They just have really cool styling, don't they, this era of car. The Cadillac Fleetwood, Hudson 47, we looked at that earlier. This is the 57 Buick Limited we saw earlier as well. And a Buick Electra. Wow, I've never seen this car before. Similar styling to the Cadillac, you could say, just behind. That is amazing. Also the Cadillac Eldorado and the Plymouth over there, but that's a really cool, quite original car. And I think this event is also sponsored by H&H Auctions, and they've got a pretty tasty Jaguar XK120 Roadster over there. It was manoeuvring earlier and it sounded pretty nice. The Saab 95 is also pretty cool, the estate variant of the 96 with a V4 engine. And I think there's something on the back of this transport truck. Let's get a little look. It is, oh wow, a very nice Austin Healey Mark II 3000. That's pretty cool. Getting transported here, and a little Mini Clubman also driving past us. That looks quite cool in that shade of green. This looks to be quite a original Austin Healey actually. It looks to be maybe original paint, quite a sort of, I don't want to say scabby because that word's a bit mean, but mellowed. That's probably a better word for the paintwork and condition of this Austin Healey. Standout car in this row probably has to be that super cool Saab 900 Turbo. Those are really, really quick old cars. It's a little bit cloudy now, so there's a small chance of rain coming. I think I just felt a spot. It's a Mark II Ford Fiesta and a Mark I Ford Escort. This is a cool 1300E, very original car, which I hope the owner realises that he's left the headlights on, because that could drain the battery. But that is a super original, really time warp, unmolested Ford Escort Mark I. When I say unmolested, I mean unmodified. A lot of them get modified. It's great to see that one in totally original condition. And let's have a little look along here before we just go back to the road that brings the cars in. And I was going to look at that lovely little Triumph Health 1200 because it's really cool, but look at that. Over there is a Chevy Corvair van. That's an unbelievable car. Chevy Corvair is a very unknown car already. It's a rear-engine flat six American sports car, and that's a van based on that platform. Really rare and unusual commercial. One of the only ones in the UK, I'm sure. Quite an impressive array of fast Fords also. And how could I not show this fantastic little Austin J40 pedal car. These were sold from about the very early 1950s. They're based on the contemporary A40 Devon real car, and they're sold up until the early 1970s. Really long production period. This one's a slightly earlier example, having the Flying A on it, so it's probably 50s or 60s, and they're really desirable little pedal cars, these. Very cool. And the funny thing about the little Austin J40 pedal car, it probably costs just as much, if not more, than some of the cars here. It's kind of silly if you think about it, how expensive these vintage pedal cars are. Check out my channel homepage for my restoration of the Pathfinder racing car variant of one of these, based on an Austin 7 Racer, which is even more desirable than those, you could say, but before anyone asks, we ain't selling. So yeah, that's also happening as well, but it is pretty crazy. It's sort of similar money, you could say, to a full car like this Jaguar. This looks to be a similar car to ours, a X308 Jaguar Sport. Well, ours is the XJ Sport, this is the XJ Executive, so this has got chrome window surrounds, where ours has black matted out ones. A bit sportier, but they're basically the same car underneath. And there is a Desert Dune livery Land Rover Defender making its way in. Back here we have a pairing of BMW Z3s. Really good looking cars these, I think. Very affordable classic sports cars as well. This has got, oh, that's interesting, they're both facelift 2 litre straight sixes. They're sold as 1.9 4 cylinder, 2 litre, 2.2, 2.8 straight sixes, and then the really quick ones, the M's, were 3.2 litre straight six engines. So quite a few variants. The 2s and the 2.2s and the 2.8s are probably the most affordable. As the Porsche 911 is manoeuvring. I told you there'd be cars that had to park up here. That is quite a smart looking Porsche 944. That's some super original paint on that Chrysler 300, an absolutely huge car. I'm sure there's quite a bit of boot space there. And a lovely S-Type as well, yeah. Almost called it a Jaguar Mark II, but no, an S-Type with an independent rear suspension and the restyled front and back Jaguar there. That looks to be quite a usable one. Another 3.8 litre XK straight six engine. So that basically is the same engine as the very tasty XK120 in the distance over there. And this is a rare car as well. A Bond Equipe based on a Triumph Vitesse or Triumph 2000. It's got a 2.5 litre straight six, and it's sort of a sporty variant, fiberglass bodied, I think, of those Triumph cars. This looks to be quite a smart Rover P4 6-cylinder car. Nice set of badges on the front. They're such a comfy car, those as well. Really, really usable old car. Very smart little Riley Elf. That looks really cool actually on the cream steel wheels. That's actually a really good looking little car. Wow, a Ferrari Dino rolling in. Well, I say Ferrari Dino, it's not a Ferrari, it is just a Dino. Dino GT. Dino is a completely separate brand technically from Ferrari. Very cool to see that one out and about. V6 mid-engined. That really cool Lancia Delta Integrale rally car. That's a Group A 1990s era rally car, and the Alitalia livery looking pretty cool. This looks to be a really clean, honest and original little Mini here. Mini Clubman, British Leyland era in brown. It just looks a really original and usable little car, that actually. Mark II generation Ford Escort rally car. So many of these across the UK and Ireland get rallied. Really popular car. Wow, a Ford Fairlane. Right everyone, that's most of the cars that have arrived, which I keep having to tell myself will make up the portion of today's video. I'll go around and have a quick look at a select few highlight cars. I'll try and search out a pre-war car maybe, I'm not sure there are any here today though. And let's see what happens. See if we can find anything that slipped under my nose when I was in the arrivals lounge. I can see a couple of cars that actually have arrived since then or have been here before we came, because we came very early. But yeah, let's see if we can find anything among that absolutely amazing collection of cars. Now I said I'd search out a pre-war car, and that search hasn't taken long, because rolling in now is a lovely little Austin 10-4 by the looks of it. First and hopefully not the last pre-war car of the day. Or is it a big 7? I'm not sure. Last dad. Is that a big 7 or a 10?
10 Cambridge.
10 Cambridge. I thought it was a 10. There you go. For just during the war, actually I was going to say just post-war, but not nor pre-war nor post-war is this wartime old Jeep, Willie's Jeep. There's another really cool old car coming in now, a bullnose era Saab. Just behind me is the Saab 96, the estate version, but this is a really early production 3-cylinder 2-stroke car. There you go, there's the Saab 96, sorry, Saab 95, this is the 96 saloon with a 3-cylinder 2-stroke engine, awesome sounding car. I didn't manage to spot this Mark 1 Escort Mexico on the way in. Cortina 1600E, looking absolutely immaculate. Triumph TR6, this one, with the Carrera RS just behind. And in another lovely shade of blue. The Alpine there, and this is the replica Austin Healey. This is such a great little car, the little Austin 7 Ruby Special. It gets an insane amount of attention wherever it goes. As you can see, it's actually got a beautifully tuned little engine, tubular manifolds. It's actually a really nicely put together little car. You know, it may look sort of really rusty and knackered, but it's really not. And I think, if I remember, it's got some lovely aeroplane dials in the interior of that one. Yeah, it's a really cool little car, that, to be fair. And this Audi is currently available for £4,500. A 5-speed manual. Very rare car. This is another fascinating little car, the Fiat 124 Sport. As I said on the way in, you see plenty 124 Spiders, but 124 Sport is an incredibly rare proposition. That is extremely rare old car. That one, little MG Midget. This is the one with a bit of our merch. You can go on Redbubble and adorn your car with some of our logo stickers. We also do lots of other cool designs and stuff like that, but those are just our basic logo stickers and twin SU carbs. That's pretty cool on this really lovely, well put together MG Midget on the mini lights and the gold roof. Really cool looking little car. Let's see what else we missed. Wolseley 1500, and this Ford console is quite nice as well. And then you got the earlier era console here with the quite a selection of Morris Minors seem to have congregated here, and here is that lovely console, a very slightly earlier generation when compared to the one just over there on the row behind. There's a nice little lineup of cars here, the Frog Eye Sprite and the S-Type. And here's this super rare Humber Scepter. As I said on the way in, really rare upmarket version effectively of the Hillman Minx. And here's the racing engine in this RS2000 rally car. Later Cosworth unit in that one. This Jaguar E-Type's a Series 3, which means it has a V12 engine in it. 5.3 litre V12, matched up to a manual gearbox. Very, very nice car, that one. A manual gearbox and a V12 and a classic British GT. Sounds like a good recipe to me. We didn't see these cars on the way in because they were already here. They're part of a club, so we can have a little stroll along. That's a lovely, lovely 3.8 litre manual overdrive Jaguar Mark II and a Series 3 Jaguar XJ. So many Jags here. There's quite a nice Mark II over there as well. 3.4 litre car, that one. This looks to be quite a usable S-Type as well. And here's this absolutely jaw-dropping XK140 fixed head coupe. Louvers on the bonnet hinting to a slightly tuned engine, and it is a slightly tuned engine. It's got the Type C head on it, so effectively the Jaguar C-Type head unit, the sort of top part of the Jaguar XK twin cam straight 6 engine on these, so it's effectively got partly a racing engine in this car, which would make it pretty cool to drive. There you go, look at that one there, so the bonnet up on the XK140. So this is your XK140 fixed head. So what's going on with the engine on this one? Obviously a Type C head, but any other?
Actually, it's got a straight port head on it. It's got a 420 manifold. It's bored and sleeved to 3.8. It's fully balanced. It's got a 5-speed gearbox. It's got an electric fan, HD8s, disc brakes all round, power steering. That's about it.
That's a long list though. What an amazing, but it all looks original, because you can barely see the electric fan, because I always hate it when you see like a really nice pre-war car or something and there's a great big ugly electric fan, but here you can't see it at all, which is good.
To make it look pretty well original,
because I get the idea that electric fans are a lot more useful and better if you're running sort of slowly and stop-start, but I like how you've hidden it there. That's good.
It's should we say a sucker rather than a blower? It actually sucks air through it. Normally which is a blower, obviously.
So did you do the work on this engine, or a specialist?
I've done everything on it.
Really? So you did all the porting yourself?
Well, yeah. It is actually a Mark 10 head, and that's what came with the car. But you can't tell the difference just by looking at it from here.
No.
It would have a C deep in the wells cast into the casting,
Right.
If it were a genuine C Type C head, C-Type head.
No.
Different.
Yeah. Well, that's a concours level of engine bay, really. Well, it's got all the nice period parts, like the little wiper reservoir, and it's all just really very nicely put together. So you do quite a lot of mileage in this car by the sound of it as well.
No, it's only done about 3,900 and something since 2018.
Oh right.
It doesn't go far.
Fair enough.
Just the shows.
Yeah, I've seen it at a couple of shows, and it's a pretty tasty car. I mean, has there been any work in the interior as well? It looks all retrimmed and stuff. Really. So did you buy this car and it was a bit of a sort of resto project, or was it a wreck? Really? And then you did all the work yourself and all the modifications. Wow, that's a credit to you. That is.
Okay.
Wow. So pretty much everything has been done.
Light bulbs just gone off.
Really? Wow. That's quite a considered restoration project, isn't it?
3 years.
Really? Well, that's quite quick, actually, I'd think. Yeah, what a beautiful car that is. I'm sure it's pretty good to drive as well. Well, yeah. Well, big twin cam straight 6 up front and a GT sports car body. You can't really go wrong with that. Now, along this quite eclectic mix of motorbikes, I do like that little Triumph there, 50s, 60s era, and we'll come to that in a moment, but I'm quite attracted to this little Bull Taco or something, a little Italian racing bike. I think that's actually really cool. The racing bike with the very sort of the drop handlebars really sort of clothed around the frame, it's all the aero, but it's just got really, look at the front brake on this, the sort of cooling intake for that all built into the same casting as the front brake. It's just a really beautifully made put together little racing bike. It sort of 125 or 175 single cylinder. It's just a really divine little thing, and there are all the cars that we've seen coming in earlier in the video. And yeah, let's get on to this, because this is just what vintage bikes are all about for me. This beautiful big single cylinder Velo, 1930s era Veloset motorbike with the sprung saddle. It's just so cool, isn't it? I love the wide saddle on this, and yeah, beautiful original parts on it, all over it really. That's just so cool, isn't it? Especially with the, I think these are called the Brooklyn Silencer exhaust, a beautiful looking exhaust. These single ports, actually, I thought it might be a twin port, maybe the more performance models would be a twin port single cylinder. That is just divine, isn't it? And it'd be really quite quick as well, very powerful single cylinder. I missed this Citroen BX turning up today for the Capesthorne Hall Classic Car Show. Really wild car. Right, let's have a quick look at some of the older era Jags up in front of the magnificent Capesthorne Hall. Right, well, first of all, the oldest Jag I can see is this lovely XK140 drop head coupe. This one is basically a convertible variant of the maroon XK140 we saw earlier with all the modified engine. And there's a Series 3, a V12 example in the same shade of white, a Jaguar F-Type SVR, and a Series 1 2+2 E-Type. Let's see if we can find any old ones. Oh wow, yeah. Just beyond this lovely Mark II we find this absolutely gorgeous, is it a Mark 8? Maybe Jaguar here. It doesn't really make sense because it's earlier than the Mark II, but Mark 8 or Mark 9, this particular Jaguar. A lot of the cars here, including these, having the XK straight 6s. This is a Mark 9. I had to do some Roman numeral translating there. This is a Gordon, this one's called the 1960, so quite a late one actually. Mark 9, originally a 3.8 litre, it's been bought out to 4.2. Or just a swapped engine perhaps. And that's quite a usable long distance car, to be fair. There's so many cars there, to be fair. The Jaguars, we'll have a look at some of the old ones, as I said. Lovely XKR Series 1. Let's see if we can find any other old ones. There's plenty XJs, XKs, later era Jaguars, but as I said, we're more about the classic cars here, the really old era of cars. This is the XKR I saw coming in earlier, and I think that on those wheels with the decal reg is a super cool look. And also this is very nice as well. XJR full fat 380 brake horsepower variant of our XJ8 Sport at home. This is quite a smart one as well, a Series 3 this is a Daimler actually, interestingly, so a Daimler Sovereign body on this particular XJ Series 3. And this looks to be a lovely Series 2 coupe, an Jaguar XJ coupe, although this seems to be a Daimler badged car. Once again, the 4.2, a huge unit, the XK straight 6, but this is the pillarless coupe and a manual as well. So just explain real quick why this is a super rare car. You see plenty of the Jaguar, well, you don't see that many at all really, but you see a few of the Jaguar XJCs, the coupes, and the vast majority of those were automatic gearboxes. You basically see no manuals, and Daimler was a more upmarket variant of Jaguar cars, and that means more automatic gearboxes because they're that laid back limousine like car. But a Daimler XJC coupe manual, being a coupe and a Daimler, really just multiplies the rarity of this car. This is probably the only one around, or one of very few original cars, if it is original, but a manual 4-speed overdrive gearbox on a Daimler coupe Sovereign, that is unbelievably rare. Another 2+2 here, and so many more XKs, XJs, and an S-Type in the middle. Well, I know that H&H are very widespread auction company is here today, and they are demonstrating their services via bringing a unbelievably nice Jaguar XK120 Roadster. Was there a fire extinguisher out? That doesn't look very good. Hopefully everything's alright with that lovely XK120 Roadster, a left-hand drive American reg plate car, that one, and it sounded absolutely unbelievable. 3.4 XK straight 6 in this one. This looks to be the sports and convertible section. They have various competitions for the different types of car, different eras of car. Hopefully everything's alright with the XK120, because that is a pretty nice car.
I want a few strong men. I want a few Well then, we've got the Jaguar XK120 here, the American version. It's got a mechanical problem, and we're not risking it. So we want some guys to come and help us push it out of the arena. But yeah, we'll go over the top. Right, come on. We're not too confident coming in. Got to go back to the 60s, because we won the early 60s. That's it, keep coming. Not a speck of dust under that engine compartment there. Absolutely fabulous.
Wow, I hadn't noticed this. Absolutely beautiful 1930s BSA. Big single cylinder motorbike. That looks absolutely beautiful. That's really lovely. Proper oily ragger. I said 30s, it might be a little bit later actually. That's really nice. And then also here, listen to this. The back pressure from that exhaust was incredible. I felt it hitting me. That's a lovely pair of classic BSAs, especially that racing one. That racing one has a proper engine in it. And also, that red one looks absolutely lovely. Another nice BSA in red there. I think the 1990s contest will be pretty competitive between this lot. So many cars rocking up for that category in the arena.
1999. Let's have you in the arena. Keep coming.
There's that sensational little Dino. They're taking it very carefully over the second speed in between.
One of the many lovely Morris Travellers is off now. Such a clean little car that.
Right, now I'm standing by a blue BMW. Is it
You can just see the DB5 Aston
3 Series
poking through there. Looks like that'll be off as well soon. Didn't get a chance to look at that one in the main show area, unfortunately. In fact, I think it's coming this way, so we will get a chance. What I'll do is I'll turn my mic around so you can hear the engine.
Yeah, buddy, 15 years. You actually liked it then? Yeah, what about these eggs? Now, again, you see
Lovely, lovely looking and sounding car.
To be able to get in contact with the right people and point in the right direction. They might not always not be genuine parts.
right. The cars are
Well everyone, thank you for making it so far into this video. I think I'm going to close it off pretty soon. It's been a really actually good day at Capesthorne Hall. The forecast suggested that there'd be a little bit of rain, but we haven't really had any significant rainfall at all, which is all you can ask for really at any UK classic car show with our weather. Do let me know what your favourite car was. Here for me the obvious choice is the DB5. And there's also a couple of very nice E-types, and yeah, the Formosa. I mean, that's always quite a cool little car based on a Triumph Herald. It's not an original racing car, but it's got quite a cool look, to be fair. That's one immaculate Nissan Sunny. But do all that, make sure to check out the channel homepage for something like 250 or something crazy classic car videos, and subscribe because I ain't stopping this anytime soon. And I think that's all for now. Thank you very, very much for watching today's and this year's first, I think, of this year, Capesthorne Hall Classic Car Show. Goodbye.
As you reverse out, let those at the back row before we do the car on the show. And that is 20 to 2010.